Mr. Offroad. I've been wanting to make a video for this for a little while. I did actually post another video, but I had my flags on backwards. They were in retreat. Somebody, one of the viewers pointed that out, and there was no way that I was going to let that on the internet, so I immediately pulled the video down, and we're going to shoot a new one. The last video, the machine was nice and dirty, but I did a quick wash-up job on it this time. So yeah, I got my flags on there for America, and like I said on the last video, thanks to all the vets and all the active duty folks for all you do for this great country. Anyway, so let's get into it. You can see over here I've got a 2018 XP 1000. I did have another machine, a Textron Havoc, at one point in time, but since these came out in 2018, I've wanted one badly. They're not real practical, right? For most folks, a single seater is hey, it's not really a side-by-side. This is more like what we had back in the day, which was Honda Pilots and Honda Odysseys. Before that, obviously the Pilot was a whole lot cooler than the Odyssey. It actually had real suspension on it, so that was awesome. But a lot of times my right seat is empty in the XP, and I just couldn't resist. I had to have this machine. I've got some buddies that have them. I've watched plenty of videos about them, and who the hell doesn't want this, right? First of all, the wheelbase on this is pretty similar to the XP 1000. So width-wise, they're both 64 inches. Length-wise, the wheelbase is 7 inches shorter on this. This is 83. The XP 1000 is 90 even. The height at the roof line is also the same on the XP 1000. The weight, surprisingly, this thing is only about 85, 87 pounds lighter than the XP 1000. The ground clearance on this is 13 inches. The XP 1000 is 14 inches. And another cool feature about this RS1 is the air intakes. So, you know, if you've got an XP Turbo, if you got a Turbo S, if you got an XP Pro, if you've got an XP 1000, you know where the intakes are. They're going to be right here about head level. The intake snorkels, this is snorkeled right from the factory. These come all the way up here. So these are the intakes for your engine and for the CVT. That is pretty awesome. I like that. Not that I've ever had my XP 1000 in so deep that water's been up to the level of you know, my shoulders or my neck. But that is kind of cool that they're all the way up there like that. Some people chop them off and bring them down here. I'm not going to be doing that. Now, of course, if you come around here, those snorkels, that's all well and good, but the exhaust is pretty much level. The CVT exhaust is pretty much level with this this hose here, which is actually the engine intake. But you can see, maybe you can see or maybe not, the exhaust for the CVT is right here. So that means really you don't want to get water up above that. Now, I have noticed that if you keep some positive pressure on the throttle, there's enough air moving in this CVT and blowing out the exhaust that it seems to keep the water out. It's pretty impressive, because I believe I've probably had it in up over that and I've never had water in the CVT. But don't think just because those snorkels are up there on the top that you're good to go in deep water. You're not. You still have to snorkel this exhaust on the CVT. A couple other things about this machine. There were big improvements on the drivetrain for this RS1 over what they had in the XP 1000. This is a naturally aspirated machine, just like the XP 1000. Same displacement, same horsepower. but the XP1000s are known for having a weak front diff. They've fixed that in this machine, so this differential is a whole lot better than what came in the XP1000s. I do believe in the 21 XP1000s, they've also put this improved front diff in, so that's a good thing. I've heard a lot of people say that the RS1 comes with the drivetrain from the XP Turbo, and while the clutch cover, inner and outer, are not the same as an XP Turbo, probably because plumbing and stuff like that is different. I do know for a fact that the belt is the same, so that tells me that the clutches are at least very similar. So when you buy an XP Turbo belt, it'll also work for an RS1. And if I look up on the OEM parts finder on any of the websites that you can check out there, Rocky Mountain ATV is one of my favorites, you'll find that this gear case for the main gear case is the same as what's in the XP1000. The part numbers for the shell match. I did verify that. And then you can see here that the yoke on the prop shaft is not like an XP1000. That just the XP1000 just slides onto to a shaft with splines. This has a different yoke setup, and this looks just like what's on the XP Turbo. So it is definitely a heavier duty drivetrain. And what I can say, even with these 30-inch tires, the clutching is amazing on this machine. It's a really aggressive clutching, and it's a ton of fun. You can toss this machine around like nothing. You can swap ends pretty quickly. I like that. Some people might not like that, but it is easy to flick around, to get around turns, steer with the rear end. Speaking of steering with the rear end, I didn't even mention this. If you look in here at the brake pedals, that is pretty damn cool. So what we have is a brake pedal that is set up for left foot braking, and I like to left foot brake. I left foot brake in the XP, and it doesn't like that very much. The computer will actually start shutting you down a little bit if you do it too much, but the RS1 will not do that. It is built for left foot braking, and you know, if you're wanting to go into turns and, you know, get around sharp turns fast, well, pretty much anything. If you want to drive fast, the left foot braking really comes in handy, and it adds a whole new dynamic to driving the vehicle and being able to control how your suspension is set up coming into turns. The bed that we have on the back here, this bed has a 50-pound payload. So the XP1000 has a 300-pound payload. This has a 50-pound payload on the back. Obviously, one of the big differences with this machine, and if you can just come in a little bit closer, this has the radiators in the back, so you're not going to get any of the mud clogging of the radiators that you get in the XP1000, because those radiators are in the front. And or that radiator, singular, doesn't have multiple, is in the front. Another interesting spec on this machine is its payload is only 300 pounds. That includes the rider and the cargo. So 300 pounds is it. That's what they say. It can handle. I'm not a small guy. I'm 240 pounds. That machine, the XP1000 that's over there, has a 756 pound payload, something like that. Obviously it's a two-seater. You're not going to have a smaller payload, but it's interesting to me what the differences are. The A-arms and radius rods, they all look the same. Obviously the suspension could be different. It's Walker Evans on both of these. One of the things that I did notice is right out of the box, the rear end of this RS1 sags too much, so I did have to adjust the preload rings down about 5/8 of an inch. And you're only supposed to adjust them down an inch. So needless to say, this machine's going to be getting some shock therapy, which the XP1000 already has. In the front, when we put this bumper on, and yeah, you might be saying, where'd you get that bumper? This is the Polaris OEM bumper. It comes in black. Obviously, I have white accessories on this machine, so I just sent it in the box to a powder coater. They stripped it down and painted it white. The machine just has too much black on it, I think. So the white, I believe, sets it off nicely. This bumper and this winch that I have here, it's all Polaris OEM stuff. The winch and the bumper are made to work together, and they do very well. The wiring integrates really well into the machine, and it's mostly an easy install, but some of the mounting plates and getting the screws in this bumper, it's definitely a two-man job, because it's a little bit difficult to stabilize the bumper and get everything to line up. But one of the things that I started to talk about here with this bumper is, together the winch and the bumper are somewhere in the order of like 33 to 35 pounds. And as soon as I put this on, I lost an inch of ground clearance up front. So I had to adjust these springs, the preload, to get my clearance back to the 13-inch range. So I guess what we can do is kind of walk around some of the things that we've done differently. We can start on this side. Obviously, we put new tires and wheels on this. So we've got the System 3 XTR 370s. These tires are great. I've been wanting these tires. I was going to put them on the XP1000, but when those tires wore out, they're not worn out yet. But it will definitely be getting these XTR 370s. I really like them. They handle great and they feel great. It's amazing the feel from the trail that you get in these tires. They're just not harsh. They're pretty plush, and I'm running them at 10 psi. Also have the STI HD bead locks here. These are HD 9s in the bronze color. Pretty happy with the bronze, the way it sets off, with the machine. I thought that I was going to be pretty happy with the stock bighorns that came on them. Well, not happy. I thought they were going to be adequate. I could spend some money in some other places, but I rode this thing up in the woods behind our house here. There's about 1,200 acres, and no, we're not going to use the bighorns. They were terrible. Just not a great tire. I wish Polaris would do something different. Of course, on the XP Pros, they're putting the Carnivores. Carnivore's a decent tire, but these XTR 370s are even better than the Carnivores. And as a matter of fact, System 3 is calling these the Carnivore killers, and I endorse that message because I have a buddy that runs Carnivores, and to me, he has problems. They're squirrely on the road when we're down in West Virginia, and anybody that goes down there knows you do a lot of riding on the roads. I don't think they wear that well, and the sidewalls are really weak. I think he's busted 3 sidewalls just this year. One time he popped 2 sidewalls at once. So one of the other things that we did, and I believe these are absolutely necessary on just about any machine, are the tree kickers or the rock sliders, whatever you want to call them. And you'll find that in the cockpit of this RS1, they're actually pretty helpful because you sit so much in the center of it that it does, it's easier if you just step on those to get out. Otherwise, you're dragging your calf along the back side or along the side of those whenever you're getting out. So if we move forward, we've got the Tusk Mirrors on here. I run these Tusk Mirrors on every machine I've had. The XP1000 had them, my Textron Havoc had them, and that owner still has them on that machine. I've had the Seismics, the breakaways, and I'm not a fan. They don't do that well. They fold all the time, and then I can't see. These take a pretty good beating. They can, they can take branches head on, and I haven't broken any of these, and we pretty much run through just about everything and don't slow down much. So these are great. I really do endorse those. The other thing that we got was the Pro Armor white roof. This is an aluminum roof, and it does come in white, so it came that way. I didn't have to get that powder coated. Of course, I got the half windshield. I'm a half windshield only kind of guy. I don't like a full windshield. We ride in the mud a lot. We're here on the East Coast, Northeast, mostly woods riding, and like I said, lots of mud. So all I do, I watch people with their full windshields, and they're stopping all the time to clean them off, and I'm not stopping for anything. I'm going to take some mud in the face. This might get some mud, but it does help. This helps keep the water crashing on your lap, and it helps keep that out. And it also does help move the air up over the machine. So it's pretty helpful, but it doesn't blind you whenever you blast through a big, thick mud puddle. Of course, we talked about this bumper in here. This is pretty slick. I didn't know this about RS1s until I got one, but it has a compartment in here, and it has a cooler straight from Polaris that goes in that compartment. And then of course this compartment comes out, and you can see where your battery is. You've got your fuse panel, and also have access to the top of your shocks. That's cool. I use that a lot, and you can see it has a seal that seats on here to help keep the water out. Some water does get in, but it's not that much, and if you're using the cooler, then it's sealed again. So that's pretty slick. This is another Polaris bag. This comes directly from the OEM. It's a nice size bag. This is where I keep my tools, so you can see I've got a tool bag in there. I've got my rain jacket. I've got this Silky Big Boy. This is an awesome saw for cutting those limbs and stuff out of the trails, and actually it'll cut some pretty big stuff pretty swiftly. And in the back of this there is a cooler. I haven't used this cooler yet. I pretty much just used the cooler in the front. So likely what I'm gonna do is pull this divider out, pull the cooler out, and put the rest of my tools and stuff back in here, because I carry an air pump, and those type of things. So I just bought an extra belt. I bought a Trinity belt. We're gonna give it a try. Everybody says the OEM belts are better, but we're gonna give Trinity a shot. It's a spare belt, so that'll be going in here as well. And then we have the Pro Armor rear bumper. This also comes white from Pro Armor, so didn't have to do anything with that. The only thing I had to mess with was the bumper on the front. As we look inside here, you can see this door bag from Polaris is a great door bag. Just like anything else with zippers that are on the top, when they get caked with mud, ultimately when you open those zippers, all the dried mud falls inside. So not a huge fan of that, but it's what's available, and it does get the job done. It gives us a good amount of storage. And then here we have the muddy wireless remote for the winch. So that's pretty slick. That just fits right in there, and I like the fact that we have a wireless remote. So one of the most important things that I did to this machine right off the bat is put in a 4-point harness system. I run these Tusk 4-point harnesses in the other machine. I know there are tons of other brands out there, but I am a Tusk fan. They make good products and they make them at a reasonable price. These harnesses are great and they're really comfortable. They've got a spot for a phone here, you know, if you want to put a radio in here. They're really handy. They're easy to adjust. It's a 3-inch strap. Like I said, really comfortable. And when I first got this machine and I got in this small cage, and then you realize how little it takes for you to get out of that cage if you're riding it hard. There was no way I was going to go ride this like we normally do without a 4-point harness in it. That three-point typical automobile seat belt that comes in these stock, totally inadequate if you're really going to ride this machine. And I would say that they're inadequate, period. They need to put a 4-point harness in this from the factory. There are a lot of folks that buy these machines that don't have experience, and I'm sure you've seen plenty of folks in fail videos, and even some of your own friends roll these things over just trying to slide them or do donuts. They will roll over if you don't know what you're doing. You can do that for sure. So these harnesses are a must. There are 2 more things that I want to do with this machine, and then I think I'll be pretty set. This seat has got to come out, and we're going to put a Corbeau Apex seat in this. We have the Corbeau Side-by-Side Pros in the other machine. You can check out our video on the Side-by-Side Pro. They're great seats. I really like them. The Apex is a little less expensive, and it's a little bit smaller. So I think that's going to be better for in this machine. So we'll be doing that soon. They're $309. You really can't beat that. Just about everybody out there, you know, their seats are more money than that. You know, PRP, Hunter Safety Products. I think Dragonfire has some, Beard, on and on. But those Corbeaus are a great value, and Corbeaus have been, you know, Corbeau's been around a long time, making seats for race cars and race trucks and off-road vehicles. I mean, they are true pros, and the quality of their seats really showcases that. And then, of course, these stock springs have got to go. We're going to put shock therapy springs on this machine. They're just inadequate out of the box. I will say that they're better than the stock springs on the XP1000. They do handle the load of this machine better. If you're a lighter person, maybe they're adequate. They're not adequate for me. I need a heavier spring. So shock therapy springs, it's going to be about $800 for the springs, and then about another $300 for the limit straps. And shock therapy makes limit straps. Actually, if you walk over here, you can see this machine has the shock therapy limit straps installed already. When you put these HD springs on in the front, it's a really, when those front tires come off the ground and there's no more load on them, they really spring out hard, and it's a loud bang, and it sounds like it's going to tear your shocks apart. So if you, and oh, by the way, it will tear your shocks apart if you let it go for too long. So make sure that if you go with shock therapy springs, and they're great, they really are great, you'll gain probably an inch of clearance as well. You'll get a much more plush ride. You'll get a lot of G-out resistance, and you shouldn't bottom the machine much unless you really do crazy stuff. But make sure that you buy those limit straps for sure. So as always, thanks for watching. please, if you haven't already, smash the subscribe button, hit the like, leave us comments. We're always trying to get better at what we're doing here. I wish we had had some more time to get some more videos out in the past month, but we've got some good content coming up here in pretty quick succession. So make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell so you're alerted whenever our new videos pop up. And as always, thanks for watching. See y'all later.